Now, you do a lot of things. You do a cappella, you rap, you write. You had Squire Brown just came out, so you write essays. And you also teach. Mm-hmm. If you could pick one, if possible, like what do you enjoy the most out of it all?
I would say I really enjoy performing, and I really enjoy language. So it's the times in each of those careers as a performer, as a writer, as a teacher, where I really get to manipulate new ideas and new language are my favorite. So I guess I like whatever I'm doing best that day. Some days it's like I'll take stage and I feel like my voice isn't very strong, or maybe my upper register is kind of hoarse. And some days I'll sit down at my word processor and I'll be exhausted from the day before, and so I'm having a harder time finding words or images or metaphor as easily as I do on other days. So yeah, I guess short answer is whatever feels best that day. I like it all.
Just this year, A Badly Broken Code, finally out, your first official album. How does it feel to finally just get that initial album out?
Yeah, it felt so years late, I mean, it was just inexcusably late. And it felt relief at first. And then I think in the moments immediately after its release, I'd had so much time to second guess myself, because some of those songs were written so long ago, and I'd listened to them so that my first response had been exhausted. The funny parts or the moving parts were pretty played by the time that I released the album, and I was apprehensive. Oh man, is this just going to do what I hope it will? Because I really had hoped to use it as a calling card that I could be confident in handing listeners or industry folks or potential business partners. I wanted to try to use it to make a segue between being a local artist and a regional or national artist. And yeah, the first week was everything I had hoped for. People responded so generously and so graciously to it. They dug it, and so I was relieved. Yeah.
My personal favorite song on that album is the one with Matthew Santos, the Chaconne. Could you go more in depth how that song came to be and how you got Matthew Santos to get on it too as well?
We'll do Matthew Santos and then song. I met Matthew through his brother, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. His brother's in a funk band called Two Words, and he asked if I would play with him. I think sit-in, essentially, sing a couple of songs with him. I said, yeah, sure. And I went, and his brother was also playing that show. They'd had, unbeknownst to me, a tradition of kind of playing around Christmas every year. Matthew comes home from Chicago to Minneapolis. They play at a little club and have a reunion show together. And it's really pretty because, related voices blend in this totally signature way. It's really pretty. So I saw Matthew and thought, fantastic. He was doing an acoustic set primarily, guitar and vocals with occasional accompaniment by other musicians. He and I hit it off right away and chatted in the green room for most of the evening and struck up a pretty effortless friendship. He lives in Chicago, I live in Minneapolis. We pieced together only later that we'd gone to high school together, but I'm a year or two older than him. And so when I was starting to put the finishing touches on my album, I was writing the song The Chaconne, and I was trying to figure out a dynamic way to make a long song have some very distinct sections, because a woman's voice singing at a steady tempo, which is a little slow, for 5 minutes on a repetitive drum sample, I was worried might be asking a bit much of listeners' patience. So I thought, well, I don't have a distinct chorus in this song even. Can I make this happen? Can I get the song to go? What if I had something that sounded, a different instrument, that sounded really different, doing the kind of motifs that happen throughout the song? There's 3 of them. One says, now the bow breaks, how the tides rise, and now the bells toll, which I had hoped to try to communicate the passage of time. Bow breaks is associated with a little lullaby of birth, and tides rising is very often something that we use in times of crisis, and bells toll is a phrase we associate with death. And so I asked Matthew if he'd be willing to lend his voice in an effort to kind of provide a dynamic difference between verses and chorus sections, and he said, yeah. I said, cool, how about now? And so he'd come through town, and he picked me up, and we spent 2 hours in the studio together with a friend, Joe Matt, at Minneapolis. Matt sang all of his parts, and I said, cool, I'll sing the verses at home in my little studio closet. That was how the song came together. Initially, the inspiration for the lyrics had been in that my dad is a classical guy. He plays classical guitar, and I'd asked him, I'm not very familiar with a lot of classical stuff, Dad. You know my tastes. I like strings. I like minor chords. what would you give me as like a primer, as a sampler into getting into this stuff that's full of foreign names and intimidating critics and stuff? And he gave me a piece by Bach called the Chaconne in D minor, which is like 13 minutes of a single violin playing these motifs in D minor. Dope. And you can tell, even as an untrained ear as I am, like, that's very difficult. You know, it's not something very hard to do. And I'm so attracted to virtuosity, and there's something about, I think, like prodigal talents that really attract our attention. But a lot of times those people are very hard to really get to know because they're fucking busy being brilliant, you know? And so the idea of a narrative started to take place in my mind of a musician who was very talented, very young, and a woman who would love him but would have to satisfy herself with being the thing that he loved second best.
I just want to thank you for sitting down with me. This has been the Urbanian with Dessa. Do you have anything else you want to
share? Yeah, maybe just that if people are curious about the art or how the tour is going, or if they want to see what Doomtree's up to, that they can visit our site. We update it pretty regularly with a variety of nonsense and tour dates and some nonsense on video. And the URL there is www.doomtree.net.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.